There is no Dana, only Kyle.
Hello, this is Cody.
Hello, everybody. This is Kyle, and this is Cody, and today we are talking about new Ghostbusters 2. Cody, I told Cody to play new Ghostbusters 2, and all week he's been playing regular Ghostbusters 2, because he didn't listen so well. Maybe you don't hear so good.
Maybe I should clean out your ear.
Oh, I hope somebody catches that reference. First off, we should talk a little about the confusion between these two games and the difference. In the States, where I grew up, and Cody currently lives, we got Ghostbusters 1 on NES, and then we got Ghostbusters 2. Ghostbusters 2 in the US was published by Activision, and it's the version most Americans are familiar with sort of a side-scrolling kind of game. Where you shoot slime and stuff, and it has pretty much the exact same sound effects from Bart versus the Space Mutants. And it's a very piss-poor game. I remember renting that one and not having a whole lot of fun with it. It's very difficult. Very kind of cheap-looking. Not great. Meanwhile, in Europe and Japan, they got a whole nother game that was actually really good. And it was called New Ghostbusters 2. And I only found out about it maybe 6 years ago. And when I moved to the UK about 5 years ago, one of the first things I did was pick up a copy of this game. Cody, that's your cue to say, oh, well, that's interesting.
What a story.
What a story, Mark. So yeah, I picked up this game, and it's so cool. It's so much better than what we got in the States. And it's a real shame that we didn't get to play this game as kids, because it's everything you want in an 8-bit Ghostbusters game with very few flaws. You've got this kind of overhead perspective. You control 2 of the Ghostbusters at a time, and one is sort of computer controlled. You hit one button to fire a proton pack, and then another button to let loose your trap and trap the ghosts. And it's a really cool feature.
It is kind of difficult to control the secondary character with the trap. They just kind of follow your lead.
Yeah, I would say if there's one downside to this game, the only real flaw is that sometimes your second character does get stuck behind something or doesn't quite go where you want him to go. But for the most part, considering this is an NES game, it's pretty solid. Cody, how have you found playing it so far?
Well, first, I think it's really cool that you can pair up any 2 Ghostbusters that you want, including Rick Moranis' character.
Yeah, I thought that was a really cool touch, because most Ghostbusters games completely leave out Winston. I don't know if it was a racial thing or what, but Winston's one of my favorite characters in the movie, and you can't even play as him in most games. This one, he's green, but you can play as him. And I guess it's the thought that counts. But then, to boot, you can play as Louis Tully, which is a really cool touch. I mean, why not?
And in comparison to the game I've been playing all week, Ghostbusters 2, it's really a shame on me, because this is a much better game.
Yes, exactly. You've been playing the train wreck Ghostbusters 2. This one is not only a really good game, but it also follows the movie much closer. I mean, it really... you play through all the levels. You play through the courtroom. You play through the subway tunnels. You play through all of that stuff, and I think it's really cool. I think you even play through Dana's apartment, or maybe it's Pete Venkman's apartment. You play through all of that stuff. There is at least one cutscene that I know of, and that's really cool. And it's the scene from the movie that used to scare the shit out of me as a kid. It's the scene where Janosch, how do you say his name? Janosch? He appears at the ledge of the building as he's dressed as like a nanny, and he's a ghost, and he's got glowing red eyes, and he snatches up the baby. They have that scene in the game played out, cool. And it's played out with these, sprites. And ultimately, you face off with Vigo the Carpathian, the Scourge of Carpathia. A lot of times when we talk about these games, the common thread running through them is that they're all extremely difficult. Because a lot of games on the Nintendo were. And Ghostbusters 2 by Activision is no exception. It's a very difficult game, while new Ghostbusters 2 has a really nice difficulty level. It's not too hard at all. You can breeze through the first couple levels if you know what you're doing. And it does get difficult. And I think more than difficult, it just kind of goes on a long time. I remember it being not really a long game, but it's long enough without continues that you might need to practice a bit to beat the game.
I think you get three hits and I think 4 continues before you get the game over.
Yeah, and I don't think there's no password, there's no starting back where you left off. I believe it just goes straight back to the title screen.
Yeah, it's pretty unforgiving.
I mean, it's an arcade-style game, so, I mean, what do you expect? But apart from that, this is, something that I feel we were genuinely deprived of as gamers in the early 90s, because this was the good game. So how far did you get in the game? You haven't played it as much as I have.
I played it for about an hour, and I got to the courtroom.
Well, that's cool.
So it didn't take too long for me to figure out the controls and understand what I needed to do.
Wait a second, the courtroom's the first level, isn't it?
Yeah.
That took you an hour?
Well, I guess it was more challenging for me.
I'm seeing here that the game, if you're pretty fast at it, it can take about 40 minutes to complete. So it's not that long of a game. I would say just the right amount of challenge. Do you think that you'll pick up a version of this game, like on cartridge?
You know, I think I probably would. If I see one, and if it, wasn't like $500, then...
Well, why would it be $500?
I don't know.
It wouldn't be, trust me. I picked up this game...
If it was on eBay.
I picked up the European version of this game, although I am in Europe. But I picked up that version, I think I paid about maybe £10, which is about maybe $15, $20.
Yeah. Well, yeah, then for sure I would.
Yeah, I mean, it's an affordable game. It's not too expensive. Maybe it's probably going up because as, people are starting to talk about this game. It's starting to be a game that, you see videos of. So as people talk about it, as people find out about it, it will start to become a collector's item. But I recommend picking up a physical cart if you can. And if not, well, check it out on the emulator.
You'll be glad you did.
You'll be glad you did, Sonny. Cody, do you think that you will continue to play this game?
Yeah, I want to see that cutscene. That sounds cool.
Yeah, keep playing it. It's a very cool game. Well, folks, until next time, I'm Cody Pittman.
And I'm Kyle.
Or the other way around. Bye-bye.